Right, welcome to this Tactical and Showcase video, and in this episode it's for Space Marines and Rhinos. It's just a transport vehicle, not particularly a significant unit compared to other units that are able to dish out damage in close combat and for shooting and so on. But the Rhino is sort of the workhorse for the Space Marines, great transport vehicle. And in this episode, plan to zoom in, take a look at the Rhinos that I have painted up for Imperial Fists, and then we'll cover some tactics as well for them. I think they're useful, and they're going to feature quite heavily in my new revamped Imperial Fist army. And I think they do have a good use, and that's what we'll discover here in this video. So I have Razorbacks, my Blood Angels, but it's Rhinos that I have for my Imperial Fists. So I just think they look great. I really do like the Rhinos that I have. I need to do some upgrades, extra storm bolters, hunter killer missiles and so on. We'll talk about that in the rules as well a bit later on. But I have 3 of those for my 3 tactical squads. I do plan to have my tactical squads fully protected inside these transport vehicles here. So it's not the type of unit that's going to dish out a lot of damage against your opponent. It's not going to change the game, but they're useful enough, I think. Tactically they're a good use, a good unit to use for sure. But model wise, that's the way they've turned out here. I'll zoom in a bit more so you can take a closer look. Always love the design of the Rhino. It's been out for a long time now. It's an older model, but still looks great. So marked up for Imperial Fists and 5th Company with the black trim for them. I've given each of them a name here as well. This insignia here, that's from Forge World. Forge World do, and these are the ones here as well. They do a Rhino set or vehicle set for Imperial Fists. Maybe just show it to you on the others because you get a variety. Is that the whole door? I think they do a whole door. That could be that door there. You get the whole door sculpted in. I think that is. And yeah, there's an icon here at the back. So you buy 1 pack, and then I've spread them around all the vehicles just to stretch them out. I think that's the whole door for sure. Really do like that one. These just makes them separate from regular Space Marine Rhinos. You're able to get these etched ones. Look good. There's another one just there from the Forge World set. So I'd highly recommend those. And the transfers that I use as well. That's the Forge World transfer sheet. The fist looks a bit more refined than the old Space Marine transfer sheet, so they're a good job, and you get good sizes of those as well. So that's hand painted. I just put a mark. I measured out using a ruler, measured out equal distance there, and put a mark with a nick there with a modelling knife, and then equal distance here and here, and then just like with a ruler, just scored with the modelling knife here, and then measure, that's dead center, and then just cut the angle in. I just use a ruler for that, or you can use a straight piece of sprue perhaps. Line the angles up, and then I just score it with a knife, and that gives you your outline, and I just filled it in with black. And then I followed the same measurement for each one to make them all the same. So very straightforward. Kept the turret loose there. Very straightforward, and really happy with the outcome. But you can see a fleet of these here, all loaded up, ready for war. It's a great way of protecting your models. So if you like the way these Rhinos have come out here and the Imperial Fist colour scheme, there is a painting tutorial for them here on YouTube. I'll show you how to paint one of the Marines, the Imperial Fists, and then on the Plus channel there is an in-depth painting tutorial for Imperial Fists, and it's one of these Rhinos here, and I'll show you from start to finish how to paint that up. So all the weathering techniques, the soot and dirt here from the exhausts, all of the chipping, and then covering how to apply the decals, and also how to freehand the ornate writing here at the back. That's all covered in that video, just an in-depth painting tutorial, just a bigger tutorial and more areas to cover, like a bigger project like a vehicle. So you can check that out, that's on the Plus channel. And I think as you can, if you just want the tutorial, it's available for individual purchase. It's a minimal price, and that means you've got access, if you just want the painting tutorial, without access to the whole website. So that's instructions in that video how to paint these up exactly. I'll show you all the details. So Rhinos were very popular. A couple of things have put people off over time. Perhaps the rise in points you know, there's other things you can get. And also they've stopped firing out of the hatch. In previous editions you could fire models out of the hatch and you could put like a heavy weapon inside or some plasma guns, and whilst you're driving around those models could fire out of the hatch. Games Workshop, I think they'll probably bring that back at some point, but at the moment you can't fire anything out of the hatch. You're just relying on the extra weapons that you can add on top. So really, if you're going to get this, it is a transport vehicle. There's multiple uses, clever little things you can do with the Rhino, and so I think it's a tactical choice. This isn't your game-winning unit that's going to, you know, blast units off the table and so on, but tactically there's some great uses for the Rhino for sure. We'll just cover it in the rules here. It's just sort of your standard vehicle, but it'll be under transport vehicles here. So it's power level 4, weapon skill 6+. There's a damage chart here. Movement 12, just your standard movement speed. Ballistic skill 3+, and then it drops to 4+ and 5+, and your movement goes from 12 to 6 to 3. It does slow right down when it starts to take damage. The Rhino stayed the same, it hasn't moved. It's 70 points, I think it's alright. You're getting a pretty solid vehicle. Toughness 7, 3 up save, 10 wounds. So it's good. And you're buying it for that full-on vehicle that's going to then protect your units inside. It can self-repair. If you roll a 6, you regain a lost wound. So here and there you'll regain a wound, but it's nothing really to rely on. It does have smoke launchers, that's -1 to the hit rolls. You can activate those just to add a bit of protection. So easy to forget, but mine have all got them modelled on here. And so when you do think there's going to be incoming firepower, then just let those smoke launchers off and it could just make them a little bit harder to hit. So then you can go for loadouts here. It comes with a Storm Bolter. So you have to pay for that 2 points. It's then 72 points. You can take an additional Storm Bolter. So another 2 points is 74 points, and you can take a Hunter Killer Missile, which is another 6 points. So 80 points if you fully load the Rhino out, so you're keeping it nicely below 100 points. I think it's, if you're able to, it's well worth equipping them to the full amount. The Hunter Killer Missile is great, range 48, heavy 1, strength 8, -2 and d6 damage. It's a one-use weapon, but I think it's worth the points. And to let those off as early as you can in the game, because you know, before these start getting destroyed or their damage bracket starts affecting their ballistic skills, just let loose with the Hunter Killer Missiles and then try and make good use of them. So the other great thing now is the beta rules. We've started to use them in our games. Centurions, Terminators, Space Marine vehicles, they'll get the full rate of shooting even at long range. So the Storm Bolter, Rapid Fire 2, these are always going to be firing at 4 shots, whatever the range is, up to range 24. So you take 2 of them, and all of a sudden you've got a vehicle chucking out 8 shots and a Hunter Killer Missile. That's pretty good. 8 and 8 is 16, 24 shots from these 3. That's pretty good for transport vehicles. So you can lay down a bit of firepower. 24 shots, you're going to cause casualties with that kind of firepower. And the great thing now is you can stick it right the way up at range 24. So you don't have to get close to take full advantage of that ability. So yeah, a pretty solid vehicle and a little bit of firepower. The main function for these, and the way I'm going to use them, is to protect my squads, my tactical squads. So, and it's, you know, it's versatility. If I pull out a 10-man, so I'm going to run mine as 10-man tactical squads. Not the most popular choice, but that's the way I'm going to run them here. So here's a 10-man tactical squad. All of these will fit inside the Rhino. So when you're putting them inside the Rhino, it means that your opponent's got to try and get through this to then get to them. So it's a massive level of protection for, you know, regular Space Marines or whatever you're going to transport inside. The opponent's got to chew through all of that armour and that vehicle then to try and get through to these. So it's like 2 layers to try and get through. So that's really good. The other great thing is it then speeds these up. You're moving at 12 inches as opposed to 6. You're doubling your movement speed just by putting them inside the Rhino as well. So all these benefits, I think, helping the army. Other thing you can do is combat squads. So you can go like so and you disembark. You then have 2 squads getting out, or 1 squad can get out. 1 squad can stay inside. So there's versatility there with these, you know, dropping them off at one point heading off towards another objective with another. And it's just another target for your opponent to try and deal with. And I'm thinking of my Imperial Fist army. Got 3 of these. It's going to take a lot of effort here to try and destroy all 3 of these during a game. And whilst they're alive, they're able to cause trouble by picking up troops, moving them off to objectives, and then just heading off for objectives that are further away, or for pushing around to get line breaker and so on. So you can aggravate the opponent with these. If they ignore them, they've got free reign, they can start moving around. Great for grabbing objectives and then pushing on for line breaker and so on. So as I said earlier on, nothing really that's going to where the Rhino is just going to wipe out units and so on, or destroy a target in close combat. But you know, versatility, they're a useful unit to have on the battlefield for sure. You know, it's a cheap way of adding wounds to your army. You know, more for the opponent to try and chew through. You know, 70 points time or 80 points, depending on how you equip them, and times that by 3, you got 30 points there. That's more than a Baneblade's worth of wounds the opponent to try and get through. And the way 8th edition is now, with say las cannons chucking out d6 wounds, it's going to take a good number of las cannon hits to try and bring just one of these down. By the time you've rolled to hit and then to wound, and the damage coming from an average 3 or 4 if it's d6 damage, so it's going to take a good number of las cannons even to bring just one of these down. So I think 3 of them is just going to just bulk the army out nicely, gives them that transportation option for them, adds a layer of protection for them, and then the mobility option as well, just able to move out onto objectives and then going for things like line breaker as well. So that's really the tactic. It's not really dice to roll up for Rhinos. So let's just talk about the versatility of them. I think they're useful, but keep a look out in the battle reports. I've usually always taken Rhinos. I just think if I took those away from my Imperial Fist army, yes, I could use that 250 odd points to spend on something else, but it would leave these without a significant amount of protection. I would lose out, I think, seriously would lose out without the Rhinos. And it just really helps the tactical squad. Space Marine, regular Space Marines, not as popular at the moment. Quite rare, you're sort of seeing them now, which is a shame. And I wouldn't put them out there on their own. I'd need those Rhinos there just to speed them up a bit, and then give them that layer of protection. If I need it, I may well deploy like this, but it's great to have these nearby. If you've got a Rhino nearby, that's all their shots, and if they remain stationary now with the beta rules, they're all getting double shots at range 24, and you've got this thing chucking out another 8 as well. So that combo is pretty good. You've got a hunter killer there, and I've got in this squad here, I've got a las cannon and a plasma gun. It's a bit of a kick to this squad here, and the Rhino I think is just a well worth option to take. But check out the comments section, see what other players are saying about Rhinos. If you're not a fan of Rhinos at all, then by all means leave those comments and start that discussion. Maybe you think they're just a complete waste of time or not worth it, or maybe you find good use for Rhinos, and how many do you take in your army, how do you use them, and any other tricks that I've missed here, then leave that in the comment section. And if you're new to Warhammer or thinking about Space Marines but don't know too much tactic on them, check out the comments and see what others have said. There'll be plenty of lessons from experienced Space Marine players. But the Rhino's been around for a long time, and I still think it has its uses, but we'll see. The games will, especially out there at the moment, there's some nasty armies out there, and I think it's safe for my Marines to be hiding inside these Rhinos against some of the nastier armies like the Orcs and the Eldar and so on. But anyway, that's the Tactica. Hey, one other Tactica actually. Yes, I did it with Orcs. I did it with yes, it was with Orc trucks. And it was playing against the Necrons. It was a strange situation. I'll describe it to you. So I had Orc trucks, but I'll run it here as Space Marines. I had a couple of Orc trucks, and I had my squads behind. Let's say I've got 2 tactical squads. We've got a situation like this. So loads of Space Marines. And then the situation was, yeah, this is how it worked. I had an enemy unit here. Let's just mark him as Chaplain. And then I had another enemy unit that was following up. It was heading off in this direction. And there was some terrain all around. It worked a treat. I swung the transports round doing it with Rhinos here, but it was with Orc trucks, but it's the same lesson. These swung around like this here, and then there was terrain in between, and they blocked off the advancing unit. And then I used these, it was Orc boys, but you could do the same thing with tactical squads. I then surrounded the enemy unit and then just hosed them down. You could hose them down with firepower. With the Orcs I charged into close combat. But on the enemy turn, their units moving up couldn't get through, so the Rhinos were blocking. They had to charge the Rhinos, had to charge the trucks, couldn't do the damage. And that just formed like a blocking unit here, protecting these whilst they were doing their job. So it worked really well. So I could do the same thing here. Use these as expendable sort of blocking units. The opponent then has to come up against them, and that's protecting the softer targets here, these tactical marines. So that's another idea. Using those, making those expendable. Opponent's got to chew through all of those wounds, 20 wounds to try and get through, and that keeping the tactical squads safer. So it's all that kind of working relationship here between the Rhino and the unit that it's carrying as a transport. So you've got to bear that in mind as well, sort of keeping them together. Don't let the Rhino just drive off and do its own thing and then leave its unit abandoned. They sort of hang around with each other, and when you get that combo going, I think they can be pretty effective. But anyway, that's the Tactica for Rhinos. Keep a look out for more Tacticas here as well for Space Marines and all the other different factions. Plenty of tactical videos now for 8th edition on the channel. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.